It's strange how the most surreal parts of our lives always begin with something painfully ordinary. For me, it was a Sunday morning coffee. I was sitting in our kitchen, scrolling through the latest headlines, waiting for my wife to come downstairs. Samantha, Sam to everyone, had landed what we thought was the opportunity of a lifetime. She was chosen to be one of the featured guests on a rising daytime TV show called Heart and Hustle. It showcased inspiring stories of women pursuing big dreams. She was perfect for it. A former marketing exec turned wellness coach with a growing Instagram following, Sam was everything the producers were looking for. They even extended her segment across 2 weeks of filming to show her inspirational journey in depth. I was proud. Nervous, maybe, about how close she'd be working with the host, Chase Dalton, a charismatic ex-model turned motivational speaker, but proud nonetheless. She'd left for the shoot a week earlier, promising she'd call every night. At first, she did. We talked, laughed, planned a weekend getaway once she got back. But the call started getting shorter. Then missed entirely. "Long days," she'd say. "Exhausting schedules." I didn't question her. Not at first. On day 9, she FaceTimed me from her hotel room. She looked radiant. Tired, sure, but glowing in a way I couldn't quite place. Maybe it was the lighting. Maybe it was Chase Dalton leaning into frame, shirtless, grinning like a cat who'd just licked cream. "Say hi to the hubby," he laughed. She looked startled, then laughed too. "Chase, you're ridiculous," she said, pushing him out of frame. That moment should have meant nothing. But it didn't sit right. I tried to rationalize it. "He's a TV personality, probably always like that." But doubt had already taken root. A week later, she was back home. Same smile. Same jokes. But something had changed. The way she avoided my eyes. The way she never let her phone leave her side. The forced enthusiasm when she talked about the show. One night, she was asleep beside me, her phone buzzing on the nightstand. A message preview flashed on screen. Chase Dalton. "Still thinking about last night. You were." I didn't need to read more. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to know the truth. All of it. So, I did what any man driven mad by suspicion does. I turned into someone I didn't recognize. I started digging. I found a behind-the-scenes Instagram story on a production assistant's account. Sam and Chase. Laughing together between takes. Him touching her back just a second too long. I found hotel receipts on our shared credit card, room service for 2, wine and strawberries on nights she said she was too tired to eat. Still, no confirmation. Just shadows. Until I met the cameraman. His name was Evan. We bumped into each other at a cafe. I recognized him from the show's credits. We started talking. I played dumb, asked about the show, the production, how they treated the crew. And then I dropped Sam's name. His face changed. "You her husband?" he asked cautiously. I nodded. He looked uncomfortable, but he didn't lie. "Look, man, I don't want to get involved. But yeah, everyone knew. It wasn't subtle. They weren't trying to hide it. Not from us, anyway." The words hit like a hammer. I felt winded. He gave me a look, half pity, half apology. "They were like teenagers. Stealing glances, sneaking off. She stayed in his room most nights. Sorry. You seem like a good guy." I nodded. Thanked him. Left. I walked through the city like a ghost that afternoon, surrounded by traffic and life and sound, but inside, I was empty. It was like watching a glass shatter in slow motion, knowing you couldn't stop the pieces from hitting the ground. I went home. She was there, humming in the kitchen, cooking dinner. "I got your favorite," she said. "Lamb with rosemary." I nodded. I smiled. I sat at the table, and I began to plan what I would say. But the story doesn't end here. I didn't sleep that night. I lay next to her, listening to the steady rhythm of her breathing, watching the rise and fall of her chest. It should have comforted me. It didn't. Every breath she took sounded like a lie, every twitch of her hand a whisper of betrayal. The next morning, I woke up early, before she stirred, and went for a walk, just to clear my head. But let's be real, I wasn't walking to breathe or reflect. I was walking to calm the fire in my chest, the one that made it hard to think straight. I had enough pieces of the puzzle. Now I needed to decide what to do with them. When I came back, she was in the kitchen, hair wet from a shower, sipping coffee. The same coffee mug I'd bought her when we first moved in together. "Morning," she said. "Morning," I replied. I sat down across from her. I could have exploded right then and there. Instead, I looked at her and asked, "Did you love him?" She blinked. Her hand froze midair with the mug halfway to her lips. "What?" "Chase," I said, voice steady. "Did you love him?" She stared at me, the way someone might look at a stranger who just spoke their darkest secret aloud. Her mouth opened, then closed. For once, she had no words. I didn't press. I didn't need her to lie to me. I just needed her to say something true. Finally, she whispered, "It wasn't love." That hurt more than if she'd said yes. Because love would have been messy, irrational, maybe even understandable. But this was just a thrill. A shiny object she couldn't resist. "I know about the hotel. The texts. The room service," I said calmly. She closed her eyes, her shoulders sagging like the weight of it all had finally crushed her. "I was going to tell you," she said. "When?" I asked. "After the rerun aired? Or after he moved on to the next guest?" That stung. She flinched, and for a second, I saw the guilt take over. Real raw. But I couldn't let it soften me. "You didn't make a mistake, Sam. You made a series of choices," I continued. "Every night you left me in the dark. Every time you went back to his room, you chose him." Tears welled in her eyes. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. "I'm not asking for an apology," I said. "I just want honesty." "Why?" Her lip trembled. "Because I felt seen. Not just like a wife or a coach. He looked at me like I was someone fascinating. Not like I was just there." I didn't speak. I just let that sit between us. The most damning truth of all. She looked down at her hands, folded on the table like a child awaiting punishment. "I don't want to lose you." "You already did," I said quietly. The next few days were a blur. She offered to leave the house. I didn't stop her. I didn't scream, beg, or curse her name. I just packed her a suitcase and set it by the door. When she paused before walking out, I said, "I hope he was worth it." The door closed. Silence. Weeks passed. I started picking up the pieces of my life, like someone salvaging valuables after a fire. Friends checked in. My sister called daily. Therapy became a regular part of my week. One night, I turned on the TV out of habit. Heart and Hustle was airing her episode. There she was, my wife, ex-wife, laughing, radiant, captivating the camera. Beside her stood Chase, smiling like a man who knew he'd gotten away with something. But I didn't feel rage. I felt distant, detached, like watching footage from a life I no longer belonged to. After the credits rolled, I turned the TV off. And I sat there, in the silence, knowing that sometimes betrayal doesn't end in dramatic confrontations or Hollywood finales. Sometimes, it just fades into the background of your life like an old tune, familiar, painful, but slowly losing its sting. I wasn't broken, just rearranged. And for the first time in months, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I could start over.